ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मोकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारणं। Hare Krishna. So today do we have any topics for discussion? Why worship of Lord Krishna is more important than the worship of Are we back on? So as per the, sorry for the interruption, as per the Shastras, what the Vedas state is that the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, He is non-different from His expansions as well as His incarnations. As it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, in the Brahma Samhita, it is said that if we take a room filled with lot of candles and we bring one candle which is lit, its flame is burning, and with that candle which has a burning flame on it, we light all the other candles in the room. Once all the candles are lit, can we distinguish between the first candle which lit all the other candles and the rest of the candles? Actually, all of the candles will burn uniformly. They will all have a flame. They will give out equal amount of light, and they will look absolutely alike. You cannot distinguish between any of them. So this example is given to illustrate how the Supreme Personality of Godhead and His incarnations and expansions are practically non-different from each other. However, still the distinction exists that all the candles were lit by that one first candle. If it was not for that first candle, then the other candles could never have been lit. They would not have been burning with the flame. In a similar fashion, although all the expansions and incarnations are emanating from the absolute truth, and all of them are equal to the absolute truth in every respect, still there is the distinction that there was one person from whom all the rest of the expansions and incarnations have come about. And therefore, the Brahma Samhita states that original person from whom all the other incarnations and expansions of Vishnu have come about, although they are equal to him in all respects, still that absolute truth from whom, that person from whom rest of all the expansions and incarnations have come about is Krishna. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Deeparchireva hi dashantaram abhyupiyate Deepayate Vivruta Hetu Samana Dharma. Samana Dharma, they are all equal in all respects. But still there is the distinction that one candle lit all the other candles. Yastadrgayeva hicha Vishnu Taya Vibhati. And that Supreme Lord manifests Himself as Vishnu. Vishnu Taya Vibhati. He manifests Himself as Vishnu. And therefore, we were discussing about how the Brahma Samhita states, Deeparchireva hi dashantaram abhyupetya Deepayate Vivruta Hetu Samana Dharma Yastadrgayeva hicha Vishnu Taya Vibhati. The Supreme Lord who absolute truth, who manifests himself as Vishnu, Vishnu Taya Vibhati, Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. That supreme absolute truth is actually Krishna, Govinda. Now, the difference between Govinda, Krishna and Vishnu is, we have to understand that although they are equal in all respects, still there are certain aspects which Krishna keeps it to himself, being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which distinguishes him as the fountainhead of all the incarnations and expansions. The abode of Krishna in the spiritual realm is known as Goloka Vrindavana, and the abode of Vishnu, Narayana, is known as Vaikuntha. The difference between these two abodes is that Krishna demonstrates or exhibits a sweetness about his relationship with his devotees. Whereas when we look at Narayana or Vishnu, it is all about regality, and it is about demonstration of the opulences of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is full of reverence and it is an official relationship. When we look at Narayana and the Vaikuntha Lokas, he is walking very majestically and royally, and one devotee is with great respect and reverence. He is holding an umbrella for him, and there is another devotee who is doing chamar for him. Somebody else is laying out a carpet for the Lord. Another devotee is chanting various choicest of the verses from the Vedas. And like this, you can see Narayana surrounded by devotees who are all exhibiting the reverence. That is the most prominent feature of the relationship between Narayana or Vishnu and his devotees. Now, when we look at Krishna and his devotees, what do we see? Krishna is frolicking in the meadows of Goloka Vrindavan with all the cows and calves and the cowherd boys. And when they are playing like this, what happens? Suddenly, one of the boys walks up to Krishna and says, Krishna, my mother has sent one very nice sweet for you today. Can you close your eyes and open your mouth? And Krishna closes his eyes and says, he opens his mouth. This devotee, what he does, he picks up a flower and puts it into Krishna's mouth. And Krishna, what is this? Some bitter thing you put in my mouth. And this devotee starts clapping his hand, see how I fooled you. This is the kind of relationship Krishna is exhibiting in Goloka Vrindavan. There is no reverence, there is no official relationship. It is all very intimate, informal relations, and there is a lot of sweetness in that relationships that we can see amongst Krishna and his devotees there. So, this sweetness is called Madhurya, and the relationship in Vaikuntha is more predominated by Aishwarya, opulences, grandeur, wealth, the Lord's strength, his beauty. These things are very prominent in Vaikuntha. Whereas in Goloka Vrindavan, it is simply nectarian love for Krishna that is overflowing. And therefore, the devotees in Goloka Vrindavan, they exhibit such wonderful, sweet love for Krishna, which cannot be seen anywhere else. In fact, in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it is explained how the Supreme Lord has innumerable, infinite, great qualities. However, the Acharyas have condensed all the infinite qualities of the Supreme Lord and brought them down to 64 broad qualities that the Supreme Absolute Truth possesses. Out of these 64 qualities, about 51 of them can be possessed by any jiva like you and me. And this is exhibited by Lord Brahma. If one has got all those 51 qualities, one can achieve the post of Brahmaji. Brahmaji possesses up to 51 qualities. Lord Shiva, he is on a higher pedestal and he exhibits 55 qualities. He has 4 qualities which are not present in Brahmaji also. No jiva can possess those 4 extra qualities which Lord Shiva has. And beyond Lord Shiva is Narayana. Narayana exhibits 60 qualities. So he has 5 qualities which not even Lord Shiva possesses, and he has 9 qualities which no Jiva can possess. Now when it comes to Krishna, Krishna has 4 more qualities which are not even present in Narayana. What are those 4 qualities? The first quality is Sarvadbhuta Chamatkara Leela Kallola Varidihi. The Lord Krishna exhibits wonderful, miraculous pastimes which captures our heart. Sarvadbhuta. Adbhuta means something which is marvelous. Sarvadbhuta means it is even beyond marvelous. Even words will fail to express the marvelous nature of Krishna's pastimes. Sarvadbhuta Chamatkara, and they are all miraculous. They cannot, nobody can even conceive of such pastimes. Just like Krishna lifted the Govardhana hill. Lifting a hill itself is first of all inconceivable. Over and above that, how did Krishna lift? Kandukitadri Varyam. He lifted it like a toy and lifted it on his little finger and held it up. So this is Chamatkara. It is miraculous. It is not something which anybody can do. Sarvadbhuta Chamatkara, Leela, and these are the pastimes of Krishna, Leelas of Krishna are like this. Not only that, Leela Kallola Varidihi. Varidi means ocean. Kallola means the waves of the ocean. Like the waves of the ocean, Krishna exhibits wonderful, marvelous, miraculous pastimes. This is the first quality of Krishna which is not present even in Narayana. Even Narayana does not exhibit the kind of pastimes that Krishna exhibited. Whether it is lifting the Govardhana hill, or it is stealing the garments of the gopis, or it is killing Aghasura, or it is killing the Kuvalayapida elephant, or it is subduing Kaliya. All these pastimes are really unimaginable. And when there was a forest fire in Vraja, Lord Krishna simply swallowed it up, and by closing his eyes, he completely extinguished the forest fire. Such are his wonderful, miraculous, marvelous pastimes that Krishna exhibits, which even Narayana cannot exhibit. The second quality of Krishna is Sarvadbhuta Chamatkara Leela Kallola Varidihi Atulya Madhura Prema Mandita Priyamandalaha. Krishna is surrounded by Atulya Madhura Prema Priyamandita Priyamandalaha. Madhura Prema Mandita Priyamandalaha. He is surrounded by Priyamandalaha, very dear devotees. He is surrounded by a group of Priyamandalaha, extremely dear devotees. And what is the kind of affection that these devotees exhibit for Krishna? Because Narayana is also surrounded by devotees. But these devotees who surround Krishna, the Vrajavasis, they are endowed with Atulya Madhura Prema Mandita. They are decorated, Mandita, they are decorated with Atulya. They are decorated with love for Krishna which cannot be equaled, unrivaled, unequaled love for Krishna. And not only that, what kind of love? You can love Krishna in a neutral mood, you can love Krishna as a servant loves a master, or you can love Krishna as a friend, or you can love Krishna as a parent. All these kind of relationship even Narayana exhibits. But the devotees who surround Krishna, the Priyamandala, the Atulya Priyamandala, who exhibit unequaled love, is the love of Madhura Prema, Atulya Madhura Prema Mandita Priyamandalaha. They are decorated with unrivaled love for Krishna in Madhurya Prema. The sweetness of that Madhurya Prema cannot be matched by any other devotees to any other form of expansion or incarnation of Krishna. This is exhibited by the gopis of Vrindavan, headed by Srimati Radharani. The Madhura Prema, the love between a lover and a beloved that is exhibited by Radharani and the gopis is Atulya. It cannot be equaled by the love of any other devotee. And it is Madhura, it is extremely sweet. This is the second quality of Krishna which even Narayana cannot exhibit. Then the third quality is that Trijagan Manasakarshi Murali Kalakujitaha. Trijagan Manasakarshi Murali Kalakujitaha, the melodious, sweet sound that comes from Krishna playing his flute, which is Trijagan Manasakarshi. It attracts all the living entities in all the three worlds, not only human beings, even the denizens of heaven, not only the denizens of heaven, even the plants, the creepers, the trees, the birds, the animals, the cows, the deer, everybody gets floored. They get enraptured by the beautiful, sweet melody coming out of the flute of Krishna. And this is again a unique characteristic of Krishna. And then the third, the fourth and final quality of Krishna, which is not to be found in Narayana, what is that? That is the beauty of Krishna, the personal beauty of Krishna. And that personal beauty of Krishna is described as, I'm sorry, I'm not able to remember that verse. It says that it is the beauty of Krishna is such that it stuns the living entities. Even in Vrindavan, we can see how the birds and the deer and the cows, when they would look at Krishna, they would look at the beauty of Krishna, the beautiful face of Krishna, what would happen? They'd become stunned in ecstasy. They would not be able to speak, they would not be able to move. Simply tears will start flowing from their eyes and they'll just stand like a stone over there. This stunning beauty of Krishna is something which is unrivaled, which even Narayana cannot exhibit, that kind of beauty of Krishna. So therefore, this is the special position of Krishna beyond even that of Narayana or Vishnu. And therefore, the devotees, the Vrajavasis who live in Vrindavan, they are constantly drinking the nectar of Madhura Prema, the sweet love for Krishna, which is available only in Goloka Vrindavan. And therefore, if we become devotees of Krishna, in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, then we become eligible to go back to that Goloka Vrindavan and experience that Madhura Prema, which is otherwise not available even in Vaikuntha. In Vaikuntha, Haridhama, if we approach, then if we become a devotee in Haridhama, Vaikuntha Dhama, then we can taste, we can relish, we can experience only the Aishwarya Bhava, the supremely opulent features of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Whereas if we go to Goloka Vrindavan, we can experience the Madhura Prema, the sweet nature of Krishna, which is the most intimate feature, which is the ultimate feature of Krishna. There is nothing beyond that. That is why Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that there is nothing equal to him or nothing superior to him. That means Krishna is the ultimate fountainhead of everything else. Therefore, these are the unique characteristics of Krishna. And if we go back to the Krishna Loka, Goloka Vrindavan, we can experience the kind of sweetness which cannot be experienced anywhere else, not in this material world, not even in Haridhama, Vaikuntha Dhama. I hope that answers the question. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, text number 20, can you explain what is manifested and unmanifested matter? So, when Krishna speaks of manifested and unmanifested matter, we have to understand that this material universe that we are seeing around us is manifested Prakriti. It is the Vyakta. The Prakriti consists of two types of Prakriti that is manifest. One is Vyakta and one is Avyakta. The Vyakta Prakriti refers to this material world which we can see around us. Avyakta refers to the Swargalokas. We are not able to see the Swargalokas now. We are sending so many satellites into space. They are taking so many pictures. then they are sending us, but we are not able to see Indra, we are not able to see Chandra, Varuna, Surya Bhagavan, none of these people we are able to see. Why? Because they are avyakta, they are not manifest to our material vision on this earthly planet. And beyond that is the transcendental realm, the spiritual world, which is beyond the Viraja river, which separates the material world from the spiritual world. This material universe is called Devi Dama or Durga Dama because it is supervised by Durga Devi. And the Lord Shiva's abode is known as Mahesha Dhama, and above that comes the Viraja river, and beyond the river, Viraja river comes the spiritual world, which is known as Haridhama, and above Haridhama comes Goloka Vrindavan. This is the construct of this creation. And when in the Bhagavad Gita Krishna is speaking of the unmanifest and manifest matter, he is referring to this. Another way of understanding this is that if you look at the process of creation, originally the creation, you see, whenever we want to create something, whenever we want to make something, if we want to come out with a product, if any of you are product design engineers, you will know this. It first starts with a concept. It starts in the mind of the entrepreneur. He wants to bring out some new product. Like for instance, Elon Musk, he wants to come out with an electric car. How does it start? It starts with a concept in his mind. I want to make an electric car. Then what does he do? He calls his team members. He calls his designer and he tells him, this is what I want. Show me some options of some prototypes. So the designer goes back to the drawing board. He makes some sketches, comes, brings it before the Elon Musk, and he looks at it and he chooses one option. I like this design. Let us go with this. Now after that, what happens? The engineers come into the picture. They start working on it. They start designing the various aspects, the steering wheel, the diameter of the wheels, the transmission, the amount of power that is needed, how many batteries are needed, etc., etc. They design all those things. And once that is done, what happens is, it goes on to once the design is done, a complete BOQ is made, a BOM, bill of materials is made. That goes to the factory, and in the factory, the production starts, and finally, the Tesla car starts rolling out. This is from concept to delivery. This is how any object, if we take, that is how the creation of it happens. Similarly, this material creation also, it begins as a desire in the mind of Mahavishnu. And when Mahavishnu desires, let there be creation, then immediately what happens? His energy comes together, and it is called, that energy is called Pradhana, and what it does, it starts interaction amongst its various ingredients, and the three modes of material nature are manifested. When the three modes of material nature are manifested, it becomes Prakriti, and in that Prakriti, the jivas are put into it by Narayana, Mahavishnu, and then what happens is the Prakriti, and the interaction of the three modes of material nature brings about the manifestation of various forms we see in this material world, including the various planets, trees, different kinds of species of animals. All those forms become manifest out of the various ingredients that are brought forth by the interaction of the three modes of material nature and Prakriti in the form of the earth, water, fire, air, ether. And this is how the whole creation happens. So, this material creation, what we see around us is Vyakta. It is a manifested form of that concept which was there in Vishnu's mind. The creation, before it came into existence, it existed as an unmanifest energy which is known as Pradhana, and therefore that unmanifested creation is known as Pradhana, and the manifested creation that we are able to see is known as Prakriti. This is the Avyakta and Vyakta phases of the creation that we see around us. And this is another way we can understand this. I hope that answers the question.
Prabhupada was a revolutionary preacher. Some of his quotes are during the ring, but also controversial. That is very critical. At such instances, how should we understand?
Okay. Prabhupada was a revolutionary preacher, and some of his quotes are bewildering and they appear controversial. And at such instances, how should we understand? Like Prabhupada says some quotes about women being less intelligent. Then there are quotes where Prabhupada talks about man has never landed on the moon. And there are many, you can come across a few quotes like that. Actually, what we have to understand is that Prabhupada is talking from a spiritual perspective. Prabhupada is coming from an absolute platform. And if we understand Prabhupada's quotes from that absolute platform, then we will see there are no controversies. Controversies come when we try to understand Prabhupada's quotes in respect of the material understanding. And we also have to understand, today when we look at the society has certain conventions, certain norms, and certain way of looking at life. And this outlook towards life which current day society has, it's not that it's going to be permanent. With time, this outlook will also change, and we don't know in future what kind of outlook the society will come up with. If we see today we say women are equal, and we look upon the Western world. Yes, they have given so much freedom to women. Women are free to do what they want. They are seen on equal level and all those kind of things. We look at the Western world. But the reality is, few decades back, some of you may be aware, some of you may not be aware, there was the women's suffrage movement in the US, in the United States of America. You will be surprised to know that a few decades earlier, women did not have the right to vote in the United States of America. It took a lot of revolution, lot of agitation to bring the political machinery to change that law and give equal voting rights to women. So you see how even the Western world has changed. And a few centuries earlier, the United States of America was known for slavery. Slavery was a very accepted norm. It was a common thing in those times. But today, slavery is looked down upon. Slavery is definitely not a good thing to have. But in the Western world, it was a very accepted norm at that point of time. So we can see how these values, these norms, the outlook towards life in society changes very easily with time in the material world. So today's perspective, when we look at it, we are looking at it solely from today's perspective. When we look at it, it might appear controversial. But the reality is, from an absolute platform, when we look at it, the perspectives become completely different. So when Prabhupada is speaking something, he is speaking from the platform of truth, reality, facts, not based upon my current understanding or my current value system, which is subject to change with time. And therefore, we have to understand all those apparently controversial statements more from a spiritual perspective. And if you look at it spiritually, we can easily understand how they are non-controversial and they have a deeper spiritual understanding to it. Whenever Prabhupada is speaking, Prabhupada is not speaking from the bodily platform. Prabhupada is speaking from the platform of the pure spirit soul, and from the perspective of how the human life has to be utilized for achieving the highest purpose of life of going back to Godhead. So always when Prabhupada speaks from that platform. And whenever we consider Prabhupada's quotes, we have to look at them from that perspective and from that angle. So anyway, generally I have mentioned how these things are. But even if you have some specific instances which you would like to understand better, we can always discuss that. I hope that understands, I hope that that gives a general understanding to your question. Yes. Yes.
They understand that they have to come out of attachment, but they are not able to come out. They get more attached to it.
Okay. Okay. Although we know that sometimes material attachment is not good, but sometimes we we are unable to come out of such attachment. We are not able to detach ourselves from certain material attractions that we may face. So actually, there are two ways to overcome material attractions. We have to understand that in spiritual life, when we speak of spiritual life, whether it is Jnana Yoga, whether it is Dhyana Yoga, whether it is Karma Yoga, or it is Bhakti Yoga, these are the four yogic paths for spiritual emancipation. Any path that we take, we may take any path of our choice, but in any path that you take, it is fundamental and essential to develop Vairagya, detachment from this material world. Without Vairagya, there is no question of spiritual life on any path. It is not possible that we indulge in our senses all the time and also practice spiritual life simultaneously. Sometimes some pseudo spiritualists, they misguide the innocent public, saying that you can enjoy your senses. There is no connection with your spiritual life. You can follow spirituality and at the same time you can enjoy your senses completely. This is completely bogus. It is not possible. Any spiritualist, the starting is Vairagya, detachment from this material world. And now Vairagya is not an easy thing. It's very tough to achieve Vairagya. Now in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the process of achieving Vairagya is given. What does it say? Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayatyashu Vairagyam Jnanam Cha Yadahaitukam. To develop Vairagya and transcendental knowledge, these two things have to go parallelly in a spiritualist life. The easiest way to gain transcendental knowledge and develop detachment from this material world, the Bhagavatam says, is Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha. When we engage in devotional service to the Supreme Personality of God at Vasudeva, what happens is Janayatyashu Vairagyam Jnanam Cha Yadahaitukam. Very quickly, the practitioner of devotional service will develop Vairagya and Jnana, which is Ahaituka, which is causeless. You cannot attribute any cause to it. Oh, this devotee was very intelligent, so he quickly got all the knowledge. And this devotee was very determined, and therefore, because of his determination, he developed Vairagya. No, you cannot attribute any cause to the development of knowledge and detachment in a devotee's heart. So, in short, the simplest, the shortest, the easiest method to become free from our attractions is to follow the principles of Bhakti Yoga more and more strictly, increase the content of Krishna in our life, increase the spiritual practices of devotional service to Krishna in our life. The more we increase the content of Krishna in our life, automatically the desires and attractions for this material world will go out of our heart. Actually, all of us who are practicing Bhakti Yoga and chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra have all experienced this. I am sure all of us, when we started chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, when we started reading Prabhupada's books, we would have been engaging in so many sinful activities. Many of us would have been eating meat also. Onion garlic was a very common thing. Coffee tea was a very common thing. Some of us might have even been drinking alcohol or smoking. Some of us might have had even such habits. But then when we started chanting, all those things were also there. We started chanting. We could have never imagined at that point of time, if we reflect upon ourselves, at that point of time, we could have never imagined ourselves giving up these things. But slowly we started chanting. 1 round became 2 rounds, 2 rounds became 3 rounds, 3 rounds became 4 rounds. At 4 rounds, what happened? Coffee and tea went out of our life. And then 4 rounds became 5, 5 became 6, 6 became 7, 7 became 8. 8, onion and garlic went out of our life. Then 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, even meat eating, eggs, all those kind of things will go out of our life. How did this happen? We did not put any separate endeavor. I should stop smoking, I should stop drinking coffee and tea, I should stop eating onion and garlic. Nobody forced us. We did not impose it upon ourselves. We did not force ourselves, and with great difficulty we are restraining ourselves. No, I should not drink coffee, tea, I should not even look at that onion and garlic. No, it has simply gone out of our life just like that. Can we attribute any reason to it? Now when we look back at our original self and we look at our current self today, can we attribute what was the reason why I gave up onion and garlic? Why did I give up coffee and tea? Why did I give up meat eating? Why did I give up all intoxication? Can we find out the reason? You cannot find out any reason other than the single reason of chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, reading more of Prabhupada books, and becoming more and more engaged in devotional service. So the simple way to, of course, these gross things of meat eating, intoxication, gambling, these things, the 4 regulative principles, they are very easily given up. That is why very quickly when we start chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we will give up these things. But there are subtler anarthas sitting in our heart. Puja, pratishtha, labha, kama, krodha, ahankara, lobha. These things are sitting in our heart. They are very difficult to uproot. But Krishna's holy name, Krishna's devotional service, Bhakti Yoga is so powerful that these things don't stand a chance. We have to only improve the quality of our devotional service. Automatically these things will get cleansed from our heart. Krishna will do that. We don't have to worry. We simply have to stick to Prabhupada's instructions, following the 4 regulative principles, chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra minimum 16 malas every day, and following all the other principles that Prabhupada has given, doing our sadhana, worshipping Tulsi Maharani, reading Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita every day, minimum 1 hour, associating with the devotees, all these simple things we keep following, devotional principles. Gradually you will see our heart will become cleansed and all the unwanted attractions and attachments in our heart will go out of our heart. We don't have to separately endeavor for it. But of course, that does not mean that we freely keep enjoying and at the same time we keep devotional service. Not like that. The point is, we don't become overly concerned and stressed up about that. Oh, this attachment is not going. We understand, okay, this attachment is there, but I have to cross over this. I have to come to a stage where I should become detached from it. That's the goal I have. But then on my own, it is not possible, because Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Mama Maya Durityaya, Daivi Hesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Durityaya, Mam Eva Ye Prapadyante Maya Metam Tarantite. The force of Maya is very powerful. We cannot withstand the force of Maya. We are nothing in front of the force of Maya. If there is a tempest blowing, if there is a hurricane blowing, and it is blowing at 100 kilometers per hour, 140, 200 kilometers per hour, and there is a piece of paper lying there, can the piece of paper withstand the force of that gust of tornado that is blowing? It is not possible. It cannot stand in front of that gust of wind. But similarly, we cannot withstand the force of Maya in the form of Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Moha and Matsarya. We should keep our goal. My goal is that I have to come to the stage of pure devotee where none of these things have any place in my heart. I know, but I know also the current reality. These are the anarthas sitting in my heart. So, I chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra and I execute all my duties in devotional service. I execute the principles of Bhakti Yoga as given by Prabhupada and keep praying to Krishna and Prabhupada, please cure me of this anartha. Only if they wish, if Prabhupada becomes pleased with us, all those anarthas can be wiped out in one kick of Prabhupada. So we have to depend on the mercy of the Guru and Krishna, and at the same time we have to execute our duties in Krishna consciousness very seriously, and by that we can hope to overcome these attachments that we may have which are persisting in our heart. So this is the simple formula that Prabhupada has given, and it works very beautifully. We have to just be determined and continue endeavoring with full faith and hope and conviction, and in due course of time Krishna and Prabhupada will reward us. I hope that answers the question. So thank you very much all of you for joining today's session, and I will stop here now. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai, Shri Shri Krishna Balaram ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.